Everyone. This is Debbie. Welcome to my second vlog for the class. I will be answering some questions in regards to the reading that we just read. And I know the topic of the title of the article was Experts from Dared the School Build a New Social Order from 1932 by George S. Counts. So without further ado, let's get started. One of the questions in part one that I wanted to address was what's the purpose of the text or the main points of the text? To me, I think this text generally focused on what needs to be considered in order to successfully create or build a new social order, mostly flaunting the ideas of having teachers as the leaders for this experiment and starting with the most admired place for learning, which is or are schools. This is generally speaking a reconstruction of the education system as a whole, and I think their idea was that teachers and educators need to essentially abandon the ancient teaching ideologies and start all over again on their own. This is if they are really serious about establishing a progressive, all inclusive type of education system, which will be used to rebuild our society. That was one of the significant points that they made, and I thought it was really inspiring to me as well. And then the second part of it would be that what is the significance of this particular text? And from my understanding, I think the significance of this text, politically speaking, is to not only rebuild the education system, but to eventually use a similar approach to rebuild or reconstruct America, which is the United States. Like Count mentioned, for him, America as a democracy must be looked at beyond politics. We have to step away from just looking at democracy for America only based on politics and having a two-party system. We need to consider or look at America in terms of democracy as a sentiment with respect to the moral equality of men, because democracy, again, is an aspiration towards a society in which this sentiment will find complete fulfillment. So when we actually consider what people want in addressing their issues and whatnot, that's when we actually fulfill the wants or the ideologies behind democracy without obviously infusing politics into it. For me, I think with regards to that, I think therefore teachers and educators, in order to create and build this new world social order, they must go beyond the surface. They must not only compose the study of contemporary society and their students, but they must also make sure the school becomes center for the building and not merely for contemplation of our civilization. And this quote can be found in the article on page 285. And I thought it was really interesting that he incorporated that into the system that we think is, you know, um, of what we think of society, just democracy in the US in general. I have not previously engaged in any topic pertaining to this, but some of the readings that we've read throughout our program kind of gears towards this idea in general, where teachers are to be allowed to make decisions for the students, and also eventually creating a plan that could potentially better the American society in general. Part two of the questions are, what does the text challenge, or how does the text challenge inequalities and power imbalances? I didn't really get too much of that from this text, but I will agree that this text does challenge inequalities and power because it looks into what America is currently viewed as by the rest of the world. Just like the America is literally looked at as being the best at everything, being the top of the world, like number one economy and whatnot. But this particular text made sure to, it refused to give power to the current state of America, which is basically falling apart in terms of almost every aspect of it, economy wise or education, especially. This text genuinely described what America will become if its ruling system is not challenged or reconstructed for the better. Like we could be looked at something that's in the past. We're never going to be looked at as one of the most powerful countries when we have things like this that are, impacting our society negatively, especially our education system. Um, has this has this text provided any insight for me? New insights for me? I think it has offered some new insights for me in a sense that we could potentially build a new world through education, not only for the students, but also for the mass people and generations to come with the ideas that have been provided in the text. Um, Another part of it would be upon completing this reading, I understand more about the social and political um, basis of curriculum in general. The idea that when we create curriculum that affects society as well as politics, I think it's a great idea. The idea that education is capable of reconstructing the world that we live in is fascinating and unimaginable to me. I think it's a great idea and something that can be possibly done if we use the right tools and ideologies throughout the curriculum. And then part three of this would be how does the text challenge or support other texts that you have read in your MA program? I would say that it supported a reading from also Dr. Williams' class that revolved around the ideas of allowing teachers and educators to take challenge or take charge, be leaders in creation of curriculums and teaching of the classrooms without depending on another entity to create that for them to follow. And in addition, they are also expected to abandon the current education system curriculum, which is very restrictive and not expressive or inclusive of all the students, and start over on your own. So I think this was very interesting that this particular article talks about that I've already seen before. So really, really interesting article. And yeah, that's it for me. That's my take on it. And I hope to be able to engage with you all once this video is up, and also in Canvas we can talk about it, or even throughout, even a response video would be great. So that's my take on this, and I hope to hear back from you all. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.